All right, so what I came up with for the floor-mounted donor sign. So we'll start with first putting up the tray on the wall. So that'll be an 1.5 inch by 6 1/8 inch aluminum tray. It'll have welded gussets at certain points to add strength, like here. It'll mount to the wall directly. So it'll be like this. We'll mount it to the wall. And then depending if it's tilt up or whatever we find, Jonathan's supposed to check that out, use togglers, whatever. So we mount that to the wall. It'll have an 1/8 inch or a 090 piece of little angle here that will act as a mounting point for the letter tray. So mount that to the wall, and then the tricky part will be getting this acrylic in there without scratching it. So I have it at 3 inches, but in order to get that in there at 3 inches, you have to come in at quite an angle. So that means that the slot has to be very wide in comparison to the acrylic. So you can see where we'll have to be coming in at quite a bit of an angle there in order to avoid the floor. And it's going to have to go quite a bit in order for it to still avoid the floor. So you'll see where there's a lot of potential for scraping as it goes in. So we'll have to make sure that these are well masked in order to have them go in as deep as they need to be in order, so they'll have to come up that far in order to tilt this in. So you can see how quite a bit of it has to poke up in. So all of this has potential for scratching. So once it's in an angle that'll slide in, then we'll slot in there. I have that drawn at 3 inches with a 1/2 inch above. So you can see where this will be quite open here. So I guess putting some silicone right here, a little bit of daub of silicone to keep it from moving, maybe in the corner or something, might help. So once we have that in place, then it's just a matter of bringing in the tray that has the letters attached to a bent cap here. And then on that bent cap, this does allow us to put a strip of LEDs to allow for lighting of the panels as the designer was trying to do. So that might be a bit of a concession. What was originally designed with the 2 bars is really unachievable. So going with a single bar as a trade-off, but we still can do the light as was designed. So that might be a concession. So you'll just bring in so this will just sit there, and then this will come in and kind of nail it down and make sure it doesn't move around, but it's just going to sit there. This is 1/2 inch acrylic here. That brings it even with the face. And then this will just be a piece of bent, 063, 040 white, white on white aluminum. And then we'll have that same strip right here. Testing shows that having this away from the wall about like this allows sort of a maximum wash. When you tuck this up against the wall, the sprinkler pattern of light actually diminishes as you get closer, so it doesn't have a chance to spread as much. So having this away allows this, and this will just kind of sit on top of these gussets, and that allows us to change this out, or if we want to make modifications later, it's kind of not stuck and buried in there. I don't think there's a need for a lens because the lens will just diminish the light. It's just going to sit up there. They can dust it every now and then, but I don't think there'd be any issue with that just sitting up there. So once that's all in place, that's kind of how it looks. With 3 inches in the ground and this being at 98 or 96, 8 foot, we're left with 92 from the bottom of this to the floor. So you can adjust that a little bit up and down, but having that much in the ground is where you lose it. Even if this was just flush, you know, we might be able to push that up a little bit. The other concern here, the sticks for holding these letters, my idea of having this adds strength. So you'll have this here, that'll be a bent piece of 09, and then we'll just go ahead and lords this straight piece to this. And then that way we can keep these solid. So the little pegs that these will be sticking up on, if we were to bend this and have it like we usually do, when these little sticks are so small, when we broach this, it compromises the integrity. So keeping this as one piece and lordsing it to another piece will help these stay solid. The question is, what do we do as far as the thickness? So if we do a 1/4 inch, and the inline of this is also going to have to be minimal because the strokes of the font here are so thin. So really I can only get away with a 32nd inline. And again, this will be 090. So if we do a 32nd inline represented by the magenta, like this will be a 1/4 inch stick there. And if we weld that up, I think, because you have to think you've got DA sanding during prep, this being routed, and then this piece just sitting there, you know, a lot of potential for snapping off. If we dare to go 3/16, it might still work, but again, we're threading the needle on that. Hopefully, you know, from a distance, it's visible, but again, I don't know if it's going to survive prep and paint being that thin. That's 1/4 inch. So anyway, that's a concern we have to figure out. And then once that's welded to that, so whether we go 3/16 and brave it, or we go a little safer and have 1/4 inch stems, let's see, you know, 1/4 inch there. It'll give it a fighting chance of surviving prep if we go a little thicker on that. Anyway, I've got number 6 screws on the back. So 632 for threading these on once they're all done, flat cutouts. I've got the flat cutouts at 1/2 inch acrylic. So anyway, I think that should do it. If you have any questions, you know, hit me up, but I think that's kind of how I'm proposing we do this, and hopefully it works.